Okay, I started the recording. This is Charles Kruzikoff. I'm going to be presenting today a webinar and leading a conversation about our research and study opportunities in Mongolia for the summer 2019. And I'm a professor here. I'm coming to you live from Victoria, British Columbia, where I teach at Royal Roads University, which is a university focused on adult students primarily, and which plays into our idea of making sure that everyone can participate in our field school program this summer, including lifelong learners in addition to students and faculty and others. But I thought I would give just a very brief overview of the ACMS. The ACMS was founded, I was there in 2002 as a Fulbright scholar in Mongolia, and we set up the first office in Ulaanbaatar in 2004. We currently have our home office in the U.S. At University of Pennsylvania, but our main operations are in Mongolia. Tricia Turbold, whose picture you see there and who's joining us today, is our resident director in Ulaanbaatar. And the ACMS is really a consortium of universities and research institutes interested in research and exchanges with Mongolia and Inner Asia. So someone described us as the academic embassy in Ulaanbaatar, where basically when you're a visiting student or scholar, we provide all kinds of help and services for you. And today we're going to talk mainly about our fellowships program and our language program a little bit. But these are just a small share of the programs that we run. We have a regular publication that highlights both what we do and the overall field of Mongolian studies. So if you're not on our mailing list, please send us a note and we'll make sure you get on the mailing list, because there's lots of useful information about different awards and opportunities and books and conferences and events related to Mongolia and Mongolian studies. So please send us an email and get on our list if you're not already there. A couple of things for people who are in the US or North America. There is a conference coming up at the Mongolia Cultural Center at the Mongolian Embassy in Washington, D.C. And Jonathan Addleton, who is our executive director, who's the former U.S. ambassador to Mongolia, he will be at that conference in Washington, D.C. And then both he and I will be at the Association of Asian Studies conference. And as I believe Holly, you will be there, Holly Barkus, a co-instructor, and Darren McGee, who's teaching as well, will be there, and we'll all be in Denver for the Association of Asian Studies conference in late March. There's a lot of other events. We do events in the U.S., mainly around UPenn. In recent times, we've ran 2 NEH summer seminars, for example, for K-12 teachers and for university instructors, highlighting Mongolia and Mongolian studies. So our programs in summer 2019 want to focus mostly on our field school. This is our first year of the field school program, and it's really an interdisciplinary field school that's meant to be open to everyone, whether you're an undergraduate or graduate student, a faculty member, or a lifelong learner. And we're seeing this in our applications. We already have, I think, 16 or 17 applications, and it's a mix of people. The largest group are students, but we also have several faculty members and lifelong learners who have applied to join us, and we're hoping to get a diverse mix of people this summer. So, overview of the field school. So the field school dates are from Monday, July 29th to Friday, August 16th. We're going to start and finish the field school in Ulaanbaatar. The participants are required to meet us there in Ulaanbaatar, and we're expecting people to participate in the full program. I know a couple of people, and they've asked the question, what if I'm a day late showing up, or I have to leave a day early, my school might start, or I have a program. We can discuss your particular situation. The challenge would be we will be going to the field, and we'll be well outside Ulaanbaatar, and getting back to Ulaanbaatar is very difficult. So if you have a special question about that, please let us know directly and we can discuss your situation. The field school is open to all participants, including undergraduate and graduate students, as I said, and faculty and lifelong learners. We're expecting 15 to 20 participants, in each of the field study streams that we have, and we'll go over each of those streams. One thing we want to emphasize, and this is true of all ACMS programs, ACMS was set up in part to really encourage people who maybe have never been to Mongolia, don't have a lot of experience in Mongolia, to go and experience it, because I think all of us had the same thing. I had a China studies background. I'd spent a lot of time in China. I went to Mongolia, and I try to skip China and go to Mongolia every time now. So a lot of people really enjoy the program and just the opportunities for research, the opportunities for doing new projects in Mongolia and meeting people, and it's been a great environment. So you do not have to have previous experience in Mongolia or with field studies. This is an introductory program, although it also offers something, I think, for people who have a lot of experience, partly because you're going to be seeing some new things. We'll be doing some different site visits, and the conversations and discussions, and we're going to have a lot of chances to meet experts and talk with people. And so if you have a particular project, I know there's a number of graduate students that I've spoken to, and they're working or interested in a specific topic. We're happy to work with you. Each of the projects, the programs, is going to be a general program, and you're able to choose a sort of subject area or topic within that you're interested in pursuing. And we can work with you and help you develop a particular project that you might be interested in, or a topic that you might be interested in exploring more. The participants will make their own travel arrangements to come to Ulaanbaatar. Our program will leave from Ulaanbaatar and then travel around Mongolia, and we will make the arrangements once the program starts on the 29th and until the 16th. Tuition. So the tuition for the program is $2,900 for all participants, and that's to cover your program costs while you're in Mongolia during those dates, including your housing, almost all of your meals, transportation between the sites, the instruction, site visits. As I say, we will be part of the time in Ulaanbaatar, and then mostly in the countryside, staying in different ger camps, and the meals will be provided at the camps. Again, if you have particular, my son has several severe food allergies. If you have food allergies or special needs like that, please let us know, and we will do our best to let you know what information we have about whether that special need or allergy situation or something can be met through the program in the places that we'll be staying. So the program is part of a cooperation that we have with the Henry Luce Foundation, and truly the field research, the summer school program would not be possible without the support of the Henry Luce Foundation, and they are making available a significant number of scholarships for students and other participants for the program. So we're saying scholarships of up to $3,500. What we often do, the most common will be a partial or full tuition scholarship for people to participate. And we're asking you to apply by February 15th if you're interested in a fellowship, so that we can go ahead and make allocations of fellowships early in the process, so you will know and we will know the number of people participating and how the fellowship money will be used. The final deadline of the program is April 30th. We have some flexibility in terms of numbers, so if there are additional spaces available, you can apply later. Just for the fellowships, we will be looking at those based on the priority deadline. Everyone can apply for funding provided you meet the requirements, which means the Henry Luce Foundation is supporting this, and they support education and understanding between North America and Asia, and in this case, Mongolia. So therefore, we're saying that the fellowships are citizens of the US, Canada, or Mongolia, or other, if you're not a citizen of those countries, but you're going to school, for example, in the United States, or working at a US or Canadian university, then you would be eligible to participate for a fellowship. In terms of the program, so the ACMS does not directly offer academic credits. We're a nonprofit organization. We're not an academic institution. but different institutions. So my university, Royal Roads, we have several students who will be participating from Royal Roads, and we've organized that they can receive academic credit at Royal Roads for their participation. It's professional faculty members who are teaching all of the different courses, and the courses will have syllabi. And for those people who want academic credits, we can organize assessments. We can organize projects that you will do and assessments of those, and whatever other requirements that your university may have to get academic credit for the program. So that's usually particular to individual universities, and therefore, it's best to work on a case-by-case basis. So if you're interested in academic credit, let us know, and we can discuss that and what your university needs may be. The program is going to begin in Ulaanbaatar. In the first 2 days, we will be in Ulaanbaatar, the whole group. We'll be covering this general course, Modern Mongolia. ACMS hosts quite a number of visiting student and faculty groups, and we have experience, delivering a program. You'll get a little bit of Mongolian language and culture, and we'll talk about history, the economics, and other aspects of Mongolia for a couple of days. Then the group, the Northern Mongolia Salvage Archaeology Group, which I'll talk more detail in a minute, but they will then depart to go to the field site, which is at Khatgal, at the south end of Lake Hovsgol in northern Mongolia, because they're going to be focused very much on field archaeology, and so they're going to be leaving fairly early to go out. The two other groups focused on migration, and Mongolia's energy systems. We will stay in Ulaanbaatar for a few additional days, and then go to the countryside for the last 2 weeks of the program. You will see basic course outlines on the program details section of the website, and we'll be making more detailed course syllabi. So if you're interested in academic credits, you might indicate that in your application and work with us as we go forward to achieve that. In terms of applications, the information is up on the site in that there's an online application form where you attach different information and fill out different fields. But there's also a separate document that's a PDF document that really tries to go through the application and answer some of the questions and provide detailed information. We're asking everyone to provide a statement of interest and your background and interest in the program, a statement about your experience in remote areas, because much of the program has occurred in remote areas, and we want to make sure that you feel comfortable, you understand that we're going to be doing some camping, some areas where we may be off the grid, we may be away from some of the comforts of home, and so therefore you feel comfortable knowing that that's going to be part of the experience. We will talk about that more for the people who are accepted to the program, again, to make sure, and you will need to have evacuation insurance and other things to participate in the program, so we make sure, and we will have a safety protocol in place as well, and can answer questions. Sometimes schools, parents, others have questions in that area, and again, we can answer questions and work with you on that. We also ask for a CV, some other personal details. For students, we ask for a letter of recommendation from one of your faculty members. And then we have the fellowship section, and we ask for basically your statement of need and any sort of information or proof of need that you may have. A lot of people can get a letter from their financial aid office, for example, on their financial need. Information like that, because as we're allocating fellowships, first criteria will be financial need, and the second criteria then will be looking to create a diverse cohort of participants. For Mongolian applicants, we're going to go through the same application process, but we're going to have some special fellowships, and there's going to be a bit of some more information coming out as well for Mongolian applicants, particularly those in Mongolia. Now I'm going to talk about and invite my co-instructors to talk a bit about their different areas, the three different areas, and everyone is asked to choose their top choice and then whether they're interested in the other areas. And this is just if one or more of the areas fills up, we have more than about 20 people is about the max that we can handle in any one of these areas. Then we're going to say, well, based on both time of application and strength of application, looking at people to fill up one area, we may ask if you'd be interested in participating in a different area. Our intention is for everyone to take their first choice. This is our first year to do the program, so we're learning as we go here as well. Unfortunately, Julia Clark can't join us today, but she sent me some slides and information about the project, and I know about a bit because we've worked with the ACMS and their Cultural Heritage Project through ACMS on this before. So Julia works with a group called Nomad Science, which she founded, which runs field archaeology and education programs in Mongolia. And you can go to the Nomad Science website and see their full range of programs. So this is one sub-program that she's running within her broader set of courses for Nomad Science. Julia is a past recipient of the ACMS fellowships and has been working for more than 12 years in Mongolia on a variety of different projects, including her own dissertation research and archaeological projects. And she has a special interest in public archaeology, which really is a core topic within this field program. So within this field program, just outside Khatgal, if anyone has been there, just on the south end of Lake Khovsgol, one of the most popular and interesting tourist attractions in Mongolia, in a beautiful area. Just on the south end of Khatgal, they've built a new bridge across the river there, and it unearthed an Iron Age, Bronze Age archaeological site. And so this is a salvage archaeology project trying to preserve and learn about some of the information from this site. And in addition, the idea is to, because this is such a heavily touristed area, especially in the summertime, the idea is to include a public archaeology, a public information part of the project to connect the archaeological work and the field archaeology that would be going on in the program with talking about and starting to develop a public information, and we've talked about setting up a public, like setting up some gairs that might have public displays and information about the site, giving people more background for the area. So there's going to be, I think this is the first summer of a multi-year project. There's been some planning for this and work in the past, and then this will be carried forward. But this is a great chance to both sort of get your hands dirty doing some field archaeology, and Julia has the necessary permits and will be working with archaeologists from the National Museum and other places in Mongolia on this project. So you'll get both the valuable sort of archaeological research skills and think about this piece of how do you interact with the public and educate the broader public about history, archaeology, and getting people interested in these topics and not just visiting the beautiful lake. So in the project, you would be doing field research. These are some pictures and some information from some of the previous field research projects that Julia has led and will be leading. So if you want to do a couple of field school programs, you can also do one of her other Nomad Science programs this summer as well. The next program we want to highlight is this Migrants, Migration, and Contemporary Livelihoods in Mongolia. And Holly Barkas is with us today. So Holly, I'll let you introduce your topic.
Sure, thanks, Charles. You know, I am really excited about this field school this summer. I've been working in Mongolia since 2004 was my first exposure to Mongolia on a Fulbright Hays project. And since then, working with both my colleague in anthropology at Texas A&M, Cynthia Werner, and then later with colleagues in Mongolia, we've been looking at how and why and where and the questions about just migration potentials and place identities related to the Kazakh population in Mongolia. what excites me about the field study is the broadening of those interests to think about all the different ways in which Mongolia is changing through population change, which is largely about migration. There's a dominant rural to urban migration flow in Mongolia, and of course, Ulaanbaatar has been the greatest recipient of those migrants. But all other SUM centers and IMOG centers, as you move up the spatial scale, have also gained tremendous population over the course of the last 30 years. From that basis, this field school presents just a really unique opportunity to start to dig into the whys and hows of migration. So why are people moving out of the rural areas and into the more urban areas? And it's never as simple as simply economics. Many are thinking about greater opportunities for children in terms of education, and Ulaanbaatar for sure, as well as many of the other IMOG centers, are seen as a stepping stone to both economic and social mobility in Mongolia. So on the field study, we'll be thinking about all these different dimensions of migration, from the individual in terms of what it means to make the decision to migrate, as well as to the community and more broadly the impacts on the urban areas. So we'll explore a little bit in the Ger districts of Ulaanbaatar, which are largely sort of layers of migrants from various points in time, beginning well before the transition to a democratic government, but certainly accelerating tremendously after that, to the most recent migrants and how land claims and land tenure are somewhat essential to their long-term livelihoods, as well as things like local mobilities and moving on a daily basis from the edges of the Ger districts back into the center, and how people are making a go at living in the urban areas. As we move through the field seminar, we'll also be talking a lot about what does it mean to be semi-nomadic, and whether that's really a viable livelihood option today, and who's choosing it and who's not choosing it, and what that means for the broader both social and economic context of Mongolia, as well as for the individual generation to generation change across Mongolia. Hopefully, it's my intention that we'll be able to meet with migrants as well as planners and other people who are involved in facilitating the process of migration in different regions, whether it's up near Hovsgol or near Erdnet and Darhan or down in Ulaanbaatar. These are all very different sort of migrant situations. So hopefully, as we're moving through these areas, we'll get a really good sense of what it means to live in a very arid environment, to think about changing your livelihood strategies and the intergenerational questions that are asked about migrating from one place to another place, especially as it pertains to things like education for children and socioeconomic mobility for each of these families. So I'm not sure, Charles. That's kind of where I am with this. I'm really looking forward to it, but I think that might be all I have, unless people have questions.
Okay, thank you very much. And people, yes, can ask questions, or we'll have a time at the end as well. So then the class, and Darren, are you with us?
I am now. Can you hear me?
Oh, hello, Darren. So
Hello
this
there.
is the section on Mongolia's energy transition, which is really focused very much on energy and renewable power. And so I will let you, Darren, speak to the class, and then I have a slide I will say afterwards where I show a little bit spatially where we'll be traveling in Mongolia.
Okay, great. So I have been working for the last 10 or 15 years across the border in the Chinese energy sector, and they have focused primarily on understanding renewables, hydropower especially, and how those renewables fit in China's broader energy plans, and in particular, trying to understand the socioeconomic, biophysical, and geopolitical impacts of large-scale hydropower development and broader renewables integration into the grid in general. And so in Mongolia, our the priorities for this course, for the energy course, as I see them, if we think about learning objectives, I want to make sure we understand Mongolia's current energy situation, opportunities and challenges for the future in terms of transitioning to an energy situation that is less based on coal, and learn and more on renewables. That, of course, will mean different things in a country like Mongolia, given the population distribution across a vast territory, which differs from many places around the world, especially China to the south. We'll learn tools and metrics for assessing socioeconomic, environmental, and geopolitical impacts of various energy development choices and pathways in Mongolia. Develop an understanding of the trade-offs of those energy choices. You can build lots of solar, you can build lots of wind, you can build lots of natural gas or coal, some hydro. All of those have pluses and minuses that affect different stakeholders in different ways. We'll develop some comfort with what I call back of the napkin energy calculations and sort of ways to assess the potential of various energy choices towards meeting Mongolia's energy needs in the future, both in urban settings related to urban electricity needs, housing, heating needs, and those sorts of things, transportation and mobility, but also in decidedly off-grid settings, again, with much of the country's population being disconnected from major energy grids. So we'll start in Ulaanbaatar and meet with experts and planners there who can talk about both the current situation of Mongolia's energy problems that presents in terms of pollution from coal combustion, mining related pollution, health issues, those sorts of topics. Spend a few days in the city itself and then move afield to visit some solar farms, some wind farms. Along the way, we'll work through field notebooks that have exercises that really allow the students, the participants in the group, to apply what we talk about in the classrooms to what we're seeing in the field, right? That's the beauty of the field course model. And then we will spend some time at the site of what I'm particularly excited about, at the site of a controversial and as yet on hold hydropower project that has seen interest from both Russia and China, in addition, of course, to Mongolian actors, and poses some interesting geopolitical questions, just like the same kinds of hydro plants that I look at in southwestern China. So, as Charles said, we'll spend about the second 2/3, I guess, of this course out of UB. Again, doing some assessment of possible energy pathways forward, trying to understand villagers' perceptions of how their energy needs are currently being met, how they might be met in a sustainable, cost-effective, socially acceptable fashion, what large-scale development projects like hydropower might present in terms of benefits to local communities, but also harms to those communities and to the ecology of the area. Charles, do you want to
Sure. So
come
thank you,
in.
Darren. And I'll say, I realize this Egg River Valley is really going to be the site of many of our field studies. So we're going to the groups that are with Holly with the migration and the energy. As I say, we're going to stay in Ulaanbaatar because we'll be looking at some of the different questions there, having our different site visits, but then also comparing notes. And this overall is an important piece for the field school, is that the students from the different areas will be interacting and discussing the different projects and learnings. So you're going to get a lot of information from the other areas. But we'll be traveling north on this map. So if you go north from Ulaanbaatar up to Darhan, which is the second city of Mongolia, and also the site of their first solar farm. So we're going to look at a solar park there, and then, as Holly mentioned, looking at migration in a smaller but still urban area in Mongolia. We'll then travel west out through Erdenet, out along near the Seleng and Egg River confluence there in a very remote area north of Bulgan. And there we were going to meet up with, and I'm not sure if anyone has joined us today, but there's an NSF project led by Olaf Dinsen at Rutgers, where have done a lot of work at the site of this hydropower project, which has not yet been built. And they're doing basically baseline science and social science studies of the local populations, of both wildlife and talking with local people. And so we're going to be engaging with the students who are participating in that summer field camp and hearing about their work, and then doing some of our own explorations there. And that's about halfway between Darhan and Khatgal. And then we're going to travel up to Khatgal and spend sort of the last week together with the archaeology group in Khatgal, and all the groups will be together. And again, we'll have a chance to look at some of these issues in the Hofskol region of Mongolia. And it also gives us a chance where people can present some of their findings. We can do some reflection and discussion across the whole group around different topics that people are looking at and interested in as a group. We'll then return back to Ulaanbaatar by the 16th in order to wrap up the field school on Friday, August 16th. So I have here the website if you want to learn more about this Mongolian American Aquatic Ecology Research Initiative, which has done a lot of work around taimen and fish species, but also other scientific work in Mongolia.
Charles, are you still there?
Yeah, I was just about to ask the same thing. This is Darren. It
Oh,
seems like
sorry, I've been talking and talking.
I think you were muted.
I'm muted. So
But
let me go back one, and I will talk about the migration.
not
no,
for too long, maybe just the last minute or so.
The last
yeah,
minute. So you saw this
we,
slide
we got you through that
there,
slide
and this slide. So the field research fellowships. There we go.
yes.
So the field research fellowships, I was just saying that the part of the reason to cover the field research and other fellowships that we have for the summer is that they're not mutually exclusive with the other field school program. And I know I've spoken with a couple of people who are interested in potentially doing a field research fellowship earlier in the summer and then doing one of the participating in the field school. and that's possible. Just please note that in your application. But for the field research fellowships, these are funded by the U.S. State Department, Cultural Affairs, Education and Cultural Affairs Bureau. So they are restricted to U.S. citizens only, but they allow people, whether you're a student or a researcher, a postdoctoral researcher, or a faculty member, to conduct a field research project of at least 3 weeks. We say 6 weeks for students. Some faculty can only spend a shorter time. We also encourage people to do a joint project, say a faculty member who wants to do a field research project together with one or more graduate students or undergraduate students in Mongolia. They can apply essentially together. Often these are in conjunction with other funding as well. So sometimes it may be a funded project and just one person receives a field research project and they receive funding from elsewhere. Or a graduate student may have some other funding, and this is supplemental funding as well. So this is a way for people to conduct field research. You can also only do the field research fellowship in Mongolia. So we encourage you to consider that. And the deadline is February 15th for that program.
I have a couple of questions about that. Do we
Yes,
wait to
please.
close at the end or right now?
Yeah, please ask them now.
Oh, okay. I am going to be applying for that fellowship, field research. I'm wondering, does laboratory work count as field work in terms of the 6 weeks, or does it need to be? This is an archaeological project. I have about 4 weeks of actual field survey and excavation, and then I have several months of laboratory work. So I'm wondering if the laboratory work that's going to be conducted in Ulaanbaatar would count towards that 6 week minimum.
Yes.
And then one other question was about the need for a research sponsor. I have been working with an archaeologist from the Mongolian Academy of Sciences. I've been working with him for several years on a project, and this is a continuation of that. Does he need to apply for the scholarship with me, or can I just name him in the proposal as somebody who I would be working with?
Naming him in the proposal and perhaps getting a support letter would certainly, will strengthen your application. He does not have to apply separately on his own.
Excellent, thank you.
And that is, that's for people. So these are also open for people who have not been to Mongolia before or don't have a lot of experience. However, even in that situation, I know from experience of reading these applications, you should have an affiliation or someone that you intend to work with or have a pretty good idea of how you're going to conduct your field research in Mongolia. Such as this, you have this collaboration and you've been working and you have a good sense of how the project, because part of it is we want to make sure the project is feasible and you'll be able to conduct the project that you propose.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. I think I can demonstrate that.
Now, I have a question as well. This is Eunice Kim from California.
Yes?
Yeah, I have a question about this, and I have another question about the earlier program. Now, I did apply for both the field program as well as a research opportunity. And for the research opportunity, I only applied for myself. I didn't know where it was going, so I didn't mention anyone else. But ideally, I'd like to do a joint, and let's say after February 15th, another faculty wants to do a joint research. Can I let you guys know for can I change the joint later on?
You can supplement the information. Just try to submit it. I mean, the key would be to get it before we send it out to the committee. So our intention is, say, by the end of March to make our announcements, because people need to know funding decisions to make their plans for the summer. So in that sense, you have a few weeks, perhaps a couple of weeks after the deadline, and if you had additional information that you wanted to submit before it gets out to the committee for consideration. Once it's been, considered and decided, then it's hard to go back.
Right. So when I get the additional information, do I email that to you guys?
Tricia, are you there? Yes.
Okay,
What's the,
email. Okay.
I think you're using, Tricia, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
So is it through the apply or what is the best email?
I think any of the email address that you submitted your information to, which I believe is the apply@mongoliacenter.org, or if you have any, yeah, I would just to be safe, we can stick with that one because we check that regularly.
Okay. Apply or here, I'm seeing the info@mongoliacenter.org. Can
So
I
Mhm.
the info ad is our general, just queries and information. When you submit information for the applications and you're doing that via email, it would be that through the apply@mongoliacenter.org.
mongoliacenter.org?
Yeah.
Now,
Well,
okay.
the applications are, as you saw, are being submitted on through the website this year, not through email. So, um, I hate to, I'll just, why don't I just go ahead and give you my email address here in the
Yes.
message and you can email me.
Yes, great. Great.
And as well, I
But
think we'll try to make sure that you can, I don't know, with the application materials, I mean, that is a place for you to attach and upload things. So,
Now,
right,
can I attach supplemental information? I mean, mine is already submitted.
There's pretty
right.
limited attachment. I think there's very specific things that you can attach. I don't think that there are extra, at least that's what my memory is from the application. Like they tell you
Right.
exactly what they want,
Yeah,
a CV, letter of recommendation.
anyway, we should look at that in terms of adding a supplemental information uh, area. I know someone just asked, they said that for example, with the letters of recommendation, we said that you can submit them by email to the apply@Mongolia Center email address, but then the system was requiring you to have it online and attach it. But now we've made that optional. So
Yes, that was my next question because I don't remember when I was submitting my application for the program, field school program, I don't remember seeing a slot where I could do letter of recommendation. This is my first time, I think, knowing about it. So that's another supplemental document I'm going to have to submit for that program. So if I could know where to send you that letter of recommendation, that would be great.
yeah, so and for
sorry.
everyone, I think Tricia, if
Was
you can
that
follow,
question related to the field research fellowship or the field school?
Now, I actually apply for both the field program,
Right.
school program, and research
Okay.
fellowship.
And you submitted a letter of recommendation
No,
for one and not the other, is
No,
what you're saying?
actually, I don't remember attaching letter of recommendation. Now, for research, what I attached was the sponsor letter from Ulaanbaatar
Okay.
school that was
Uh-huh.
required, and I attached that, but I don't remember seeing the inquiry for letter of recommendation, so I did not attach those.
for the field school, if you're not a student, then it didn't have a letter. Only for students
Right.
did it have a letter of recommendation.
Okay, I'm not a student. I'm a
Yes.
faculty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I
Okay.
don't have to attach letter of recommendation?
Correct.
Okay, because I don't
But
remember seeing that.
but you can
Yeah,
send any.
we have the application set up so that when you select if you're a student, it requests different information, and if you check
Ah,
your faculty, then it requests different information. So
okay, right.
I have one more question about the application.
Yes.
I saw some guidance on a word limit for the project details, but I didn't see much guidance on what should be in the personal statement. Am I to read that there is no word limit on that, and that we can put whatever we couldn't fit into the project details into that section?
This is for the Field Research Fellowship?
I'm sorry, yes, it's for the Field Research Fellowship. Yeah, so there are two places to put in text. One, project details, and the other is a personal statement. And there is some direction about the project details having a 500-word limit, but there is no limit on the other. And I'm just kind of wondering, is that intentional, or do you know, what do you guys like to see, in the personal statement?
Just go ahead and include it if we didn't say not to.
Okay.
And for all of these, and that's why I'm glad we had this webinar, and it will be made available to people. Just always contact us, right? We're not a huge organization, and we'll try to work with you on. And different people have different situations and the material and the feedback. We've already received feedback and made adjustments in our process on the applications. And this year was the first year to go to this fully online. So if there's things you notice, it is very helpful to us to give us feedback and how we can improve those systems. And literally, usually within a few days, we can get it up on the website, with a new, being able to add supplemental information or things like that. So
Okay. Well, I just wanted to avoid turning in an overly long proposal.
Yeah.
But I wanted to fit all the pertinent information in there, but I didn't see a lot of guidance on exactly what you wanted in the personal statement. But that's okay. I'll submit it and see how it goes.
So any other questions that people have? There's just a couple of more slides here. I was just going to speak on the Mongolian language program, and actually I was going to ask Tricia if there's a way, the dates here overlap a bit, and I don't want to speak out of turn and say that someone could participate in the language program and then do, for example, the field school, because there's some overlapping dates. And I don't know if you've had a conversation about that, Tricia, or if there's a way that people could, in a way, do both here as well.
Let's see. To be honest, I hadn't considered that folks might want to do both of the programs. I mean, I suppose we could have some flexibility for the intensive language program. Usually, sometimes, like the first day is just sort of an orientation. So I guess we could do it on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, so it would just be the last week or two of the program that people would miss, although then presumably we can make sure they get their Mongolian language during the field school program. So just introducing that we have a summer language program, and these are will be available. All of these programs will be available in 2020 and 2021 as well. So, if you want to come back and do the language program later, that's quite possible as well. The language program generally runs for about 8 or 9 weeks. There's usually take a week off for an autumn in the middle of the program. And it's really a chance for people to come and learn and practice Mongolian on site in Ulaanbaatar. You sort of have class half day, and then you're interacting, and they send you out to do different exercises, going to stores and different things where you really get to practice your language. So anyone that you may know that may want to study Mongolian, this is a great way to do it. It's meant to cover about 9 semester credit hours, and it qualifies for FLAS funding if your university has FLAS awards that they're able to give for East Asian languages. And then during the year, we also run different Mongolian language programs, tutorials and programs at our office in Ulaanbaatar. And sort of, I think, an expanding area is the Skype lessons. I've started my Skype Mongolian lesson. And so that's something, if you have a question or an interest in that, contacting the office and making an inquiry. Anything you want to add on that, Tricia?
No, I think that that about covers it for our language program. And I mean, this is more for people who are in UB, but we are also starting a survival Mongolian language course on the 18th. So if you are in UB, that is another interesting opportunity. That's going to be taught in a group setting. But yeah, as Charles mentioned, we do have lessons on Skype. Sarah has been teaching for over 2 decades. She's helped so many researchers and people who just want to learn the language become fluent. And so I would encourage you, if you're interested in getting a head start on your Mongolian language, to reach out to us.
That's
Yeah,
great.
I
I'm so
noticed
happy to
that
hear
the
about that.
summer program, huh? I noticed that the summer program is for intermediate level.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So what we do is yeah, it's typically we want people we want to take students who have have an intermediate level, and usually when the students come in, they take an assessment, and then if needed we'll create different classes. So last year, for example, we had 2 classes, and an intermediate and then a more advanced class, but they were only separated during the classroom time, and then the activities were done all together.
And I'd say for people with at entry or basic level Mongolian, ACMS can help set up tutorials. It's not through our official language program where we have the fellowships available, but if you want some tutorials in Mongolian language while you're in Mongolia or via Skype, then we can help with that. Finally, I just mentioned, in any of you who may know of someone who works in libraries or information resources, we do have our ACMS library, and it's a great resource for you to utilize. We have about 5,000 books. It's the largest English language really focused on Mongolia and Mongolian studies in Ulaanbaatar. And so we encourage you to use our research library and find materials there. But then we have this fellowship available, again, through the U.S. government to support the development of libraries, both our own library and other libraries and scholarship in Mongolia. So we've had a number of librarians and information specialists come and help both do training with Mongolian librarians and libraries. It could be on cataloging. We had a thing on GIS systems, for example, archives, things like that. So that's a topic of interest, and we have some funding available to support people working in libraries. So if you know a librarian who likes to travel and might be interested in coming to Mongolia, and we have some projects people could do online as well from abroad. So just let us know. That's up on the website, but it's also just inquiry to us, and we have some ideas, or they might bring their own project. So this is our final slide. I just had, thank you very much. And if you have other questions, we can here for a few minutes in terms of answering any questions you have. You can always email us and call us. The telephone number in the U.S., we don't always answer it live, but someone will get back to you. We get the voicemail, and then the telephone number for the Ulaanbaatar office. And a final thing, and I've spoken with a few people, we're going to be running all of these fellowship programs again in the future. So if you know other people, or you want to come back and do a project in Mongolia in the future, that's possible. And we also are interested, because the field school, we're going to be looking at, do we want to expand, change different field topics? We're already talking about doing something perhaps on Buddhism or public health or different areas. If you have a topic, or a faculty member who might be interested in leading a field school, again, be in touch, and we can explore ways that we can expand this for the coming years. So any further questions that people have?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
I did wonder about internet availability outside Ulaanbaatar?
Question.
Well, this is Trisha. Admittedly, I'm more of a city girl, but I will say that it's definitely you're going to have spots where you're not going to have internet, but for the most part, in the city centers and the GARE camps, the SUM centers rather, you will have internet. There are also like for Julia last year, she has some GPS technology. I think it was with Garmin that she was using, and so we could send like basically, LinkedIn or not LinkedIn, but Twitter length messages to one another. So she was always reachable if there was ever something urgent. And there are also some other mobile carriers in Ulaanbaatar that sells some devices so that you can have kind of like a mobile or a Wi-Fi hotspot if it's really urgent. But I think that maybe I don't know which program you're interested in, but I think my guess would be the archaeology one would be the one where you would probably be without internet more likely than the other ones, but it's not you're not going to be completely cut off.
Okay.
Well, except
All right.
they will be in Hotgal, and so I think you should have access in Hotgal. Whether you'll have it right in the camp, I'm not sure.
Right.
And for the first
You
for
may
the so in Ulaanbaatar, in Darhan, we should have internet. I would expect in Hotgal
definitely.
you'll be able to get access in the sort of field and in between. You'll generally get cell coverage, but in terms of internet, can be difficult.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you.
Mhm.
But it's a topic of great interest to me because I'm teaching an online class actually back to Canada for part of the time when we're in Mongolia. So I will need internet access.
It'll be warmer in here.
Okay, any other questions? I didn't.
So are we going to get an alternative email
Charles, there was
contact
one-
information?
An alternative email for
Any supplemental information that we could submit?
so I would send it to that apply@mongoliacenter.org.
Okay, that's it. All right.
Charles, I saw there was a question about accommodation.
Right. That's a good.
Can you hear me?
Good. Yes. Good question. Accommodation
so-
and also just traveling. So accommodations will generally be in what you refer to in Mongolia as GARE camps. Some of them will be established tourist camps. I expect in Hotgal will be in an established tourist camp. And then at this river camp, we will be staying in GARES, but I think a bit off the grid there. But a GARE camp, if you look up online and look at the tourist camps in Mongolia, you typically see they set up tents, and then you'll sleep 3 or 4 people in each tent, and then usually you have a bathhouse area, so you would have hot water and showers and washrooms in a separate building. Depending on where you're located, you may or may not be on the grid. So you may have a generator in some locations, or you may be in Hotgal again. You should be on the grid there, so you should have power at the camp. So it's I would say they're reasonably comfortable. The weather in the summertime in Mongolia can be definitely cool evenings, some rain sometimes, and the travel, some of the travel will be so traveling between Ulaanbaatar and Hotgal directly is on now a paved road, although not a super highway. But the travel, like going to the river camp, will be off road on dirt tracks, and we'll be taking different kind, probably like Toyota Land Cruiser type things and putting people, or small vans, four-wheel drive vans, and taking 3 or 4 of them with the group riding and something like that. So travel can be slow in Mongolia. We always say you'll get there, we just don't know when. The adventure is definitely in the travel in Mongolia. So I hope that clarifies. And again, at the camps, they typically have like a central kind of larger tent that they use for a dining hall, and then they would be cooking the food there. So we're working on trying to identify some of the camps where we'll be staying, and then we'll be able to provide more of that information a little later in the spring as we go along. So I'm going to see if there are any other questions. If not, I'm going to go back and stop the recording and say thank you to everyone for participating. And any other questions you have, again, just contact one of us. That was one thing that we want to make sure you can ask for any of our personal sort of contact information. We can provide that. So send to that info@Mongolia Center, and they can connect you directly with us if you have specific questions about the different field streams, the field school areas, or questions to the ACMS on any of their programs or projects. And then that supplemental information or the letters of recommendation, if you want to send them by email, it's to the apply, APPLY, @mongoliacenter.org. Okay, thank you very much for participating.
Thank you so much.
And as I say, this will be available then also as a video online that people can access, and if you want to go back. And we will find a way on the website, post up the slides to make them available for you as well. Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Look forward to seeing everyone in
Thanks,
Ulaanbaatar
Charles.
this summer.
Thank you. Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Bye-bye.